So like senior life is a wonderful vehicle, to be able to do anything that you want to do.
Absolutely.
So if you don't take hold of this opportunity, like, I feel sorry for people that don't, or that give up before the miracle happens.
You're all fired up. Thomas Roach, Director of Marketing with Senior Life Insurance Company. We're at the beautiful home office here in Thomasville, Georgia. And like usual, we are all fired up. Today, we have a very, very special guest, somebody I've wanted to get on the podcast, and she's joined our company. She breaks records. She's just super amazing. She's super incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Bianca. Bianca, how are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. I appreciate you doing this. You came in from Louisiana.
Yes.
Flew into Atlanta, then Tallahassee, and then drove down.
Yes.
So fresh off of your flight in the road. So I do appreciate you taking the time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Definitely. You guys have already, let's just start off. You guys just opened a call center.
Yes.
Can you tell me about that? What's going on with that?
Yes. So, with COVID and everything going on, I guess get back in March when we all had to switch from field sales to telesales.
Right.
We didn't have any place to work, so we actually were using a building that Jen and her husband had to turn into a makeshift call center.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And as we started hiring more and more people, everybody wants to work at the call center.
Right.
Which we didn't really have one.
Yeah.
So Dave was like, look, we're actually losing money by not having a place, so we, found some place and let's do it. And it's filled up now. I got 10 people in there and we want to get 20 more in there.
That's amazing. For you, because when you started with the company, you did field sales. You were brought in by Jen, if I'm correct, and she's a monster at field sales as well. A lot of people who come on board, they feel like you can't transition from one to the other, but you broke records. Tell me, was it a hard transition? What were your thoughts whenever you went from field sales to doing telesales?
So it really wasn't a hard transition. When you're at the point where it's like, this is what you have to do. Okay. There is no option.
Right.
With COVID and everything going on. When it first happened, we couldn't go out in the field. So, it was either do this or not make money. And
just that simple.
It was that simple,
Right.
And I think even Jen, that first month that we did telesales, I think she wrote 50,000 almost.
It was something like
on
that.
the phone,
Yeah.
And so it was just that desperation. And, I really didn't change anything. I did really my presentation exactly the same. I just brought my personality over the phone and I was like, man, this is actually easier than I thought.
Yeah. So from your point of view though, why do you think people would object to doing that? Because a lot of people did do that in this time, but some people still were adamant about, I can't do a different way. I can't do telesales if I do field sales or even vice versa. Why do you think some agents may have that kind of mentality where they can't transition from one to the other?
Well, the only thing that stops you is yourself, so you have that limiting thought of, it's that fear. If you keep telling yourself, I can't do that, then you're not going to be able to. My mindset was, I have to do this.
Yeah.
That was it, and so I didn't limit myself by, having that fear. And I think starting off in the field and learning how to sell is way easier than having to start selling over the phone.
Okay.
So, knowing how to sell, closing deals, I already knew how to do that. So just transitioning over the phone, it really just wasn't hard for me, but I have a lot of agents that, they tell me I can't sell on the phone. I'm like, well, if you tell yourself that you can't, you're not going to be able to.
Right.
Wake up and say, I can do this. I'm going to do this.
So that's something about you. You seem very fearless. You seem like the type that roadblocks don't really get in your way. Is that how you've always been, just naturally? Is that just kind of where does that come from?
So, I've had some challenges in my life.
Right.
I've been sober for 7 years now.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that. Definitely.
Thank you. Not something that I share a lot, but that's definitely, that's my story.
Okay.
So right. I've been knocked down a lot of times and gotten back up. And so, this is no different. I tackle, the field, the phone, sales, exactly how I would, life.
I got you.
I'm not going to let anything stop me. I've been through a lot of stuff to get to where I am, and nothing's going to stop me now.
Right.
If anybody gets in my way, move out.
There you go.
Yeah.
So with that, with the struggles that you've had, and I do appreciate your transparency on that. That is really amazing that you would mention that. What made you get into insurance? What is it about insurance in your path when you're talking about your journey? How did that kind of start for you?
So the last 5 years before I started with Senior Life, I was actually running a treatment center for adolescents, and I did adults as well. So I was in the treatment field.
I didn't know that. Wow, that's incredible.
That was my path. That's what I wanted to do. I was actually in school to get my master's in social work. And I got really burnt out. Okay. I was giving everything I had, and I wasn't really making any money. I couldn't support my family, and so back in 2018, I lost my job and I started questioning, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Right.
Because when it's, you're just helping people and you're not getting, paid for it.
Right.
It's a lot different when it becomes, your sole vocation.
Yeah.
It becomes very different. And so I really started, I'm very spiritual, believe in God.
Yeah.
And I started praying, God, help me to be open-minded. What else is there out there? Do you have another purpose for me? And a week later, I was actually
okay.
I was actually approached by 3 people about selling insurance.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's okay.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. And I was like, I don't want to sell insurance.
Yeah.
Actually a good friend of mine, he was working for another company doing, mortgage protection. And I actually, took the course with that company and was trying to get licensed.
Right.
And David had been talking to me about the opportunity, but just that thought of selling insurance is just not me. I didn't think it was me.
Right.
And so, but again, I was like, maybe there's something to this, and David showed up at my house one day and he was like, look, you need to do this.
Wow.
He started showing me Jen's bank stuff.
Right.
And, I just had my second child.
Okay.
Actually my daughter's dad had passed away, a couple months before then and had no insurance.
Oh, so firsthand.
Yeah. So there was a lot of different things going on that, and I always tell people, I don't think you just wake up and you're like, oh, I want to sell insurance today.
I don't think anybody's really said that. Yeah.
Unless it's in your family or something like that.
Right.
It chooses you, I feel like.
Wow. Yeah. Definitely.
And so that's basically what happened, and, I've been friends with David for a long time, and I was trying to figure out, who do I want leading me? Who do I want to follow?
Right.
And, David was the best choice.
What was it about David, especially, David today, he's an incredible leader. He's extremely passionate. I love the fact that he cares about his agents so much. In my personal experience, a lot of my friends, I would not trust when it came to making a career change. Maybe my friends aren't the most motivated or the brightest, but for you to have that personal relationship, was it you already knew he was a really good leader, or was it just because you felt like your prayers are being answered? What was it about that moment in David then that made you say, okay, let me go all in on this?
So 4 or 5 years prior to, me, him, and Jen were actually working at a network marketing company together.
Okay.
So me and Dave had been friends, and I actually recruited Jen into that company.
Okay.
That's how they met.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So, we actually talk about this. We were sitting in his living room at that time. He had no furniture. Right. And we were like, we're going to be somebody one day, we're going to be 6-figure income earners. Right.
So you're in a living room, no furniture, sitting with your legs crossed on the floor.
Right.
And you said we're going to earn 6 figures.
Trying to figure out how to take over the world.
Wow.
Me, Jen, and Dave.
And that was at that job.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was 5 years prior to Senior Life.
Yeah. Right.
And so, we didn't end up making it there. We all kind of went our separate ways. And then here we are, 5 years later with Senior Life, and Dave actually had recruited Jen. And then, I saw that, she was doing really well. And so I knew Dave was a good leader. I've seen him. He's a innovator.
Yeah.
You know, a visionary.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So it's super motivated, great work ethic, like always looking for like the next thing. Right. And so I knew that, you know, he was the person that I, you know, wanted to follow.
Motivation sometimes can scare people. You know, when you're sitting in an empty living room and everybody says we're going to be 6-figure earners, and I assume if you didn't have any furniture, you're probably not near a 6-figure earner at that point. Yeah. That stuff can be very scary for some people.
Right.
You don't operate with a lot of fear. So what is it in that moment? Like you just because you had that much belief in each other and yourselves that you just didn't even think about the failure side of it? Or what was it? What was going on?
I don't know. I mean, I guess, you know, especially like in network marketing, I mean, there's a lot of like hype and there's a lot of people that are making, you know, 6 figures. And so like having that belief, you know, my mindset's always been, you know, if that person can do it, I can do it. I just need to know what it is they did to get there. And I think at that point in time, I probably wasn't at the place to maybe attract 6 figures. You know, I still had a lot of growing to do.
Right.
Right. So, but again, it put that idea in my mind that it was possible, you know, because again, coming from where I come from,
right,
that's not even on the radar, you know? And so, and then, you know, being at Senior Life, you know, there's so many people that believe and are being successful, you know, and I buy into that.
Definitely. Definitely. That is incredible. So tell me whenever you first come on board. So David reconnects with you. He shows you Jen's pay stubs and what she's making. What was it like whenever you start with Senior Life? Is that your career in insurance starts with Senior Life?
Yes.
So what is that like in the beginning? Like kind of walk me through what your experience was when you first started with us.
So it actually took me 9 months to get licensed.
Okay.
So from the time, you know, I was approached about it, so at that time I actually got licensed.
Was it apprehension or just you had a lot going on?
Apprehension.
Okay.
I mean, I was pregnant at the time, so I wasn't like super, you know, motivated to get to work.
I got you.
But apprehension, you know, doing something completely different, was a little fearful.
Okay.
You know, but it got down to that time where I was like, okay, I need to do something or, you know, give up.
Right.
You know, and so getting licensed, getting contracted. I mean, it's kind of fuzzy, like thinking about then.
Right.
But, you know, I did everything that David told me to do. You know, he said, look, here's your welcome email. Go through everything.
Right.
Do some practice presentations. So I started messaging people on Facebook. I was like, hey, just got this new job. Like I need to practice.
Right.
Right. And started going meet people and wrote policies, you know, made a couple $1,000s my first month. So my first month was, I think, April.
Okay.
And I was still in school. So I wasn't like, and I remember talking to Dave, like, can I just do this, you know, part-time, you know,
right.
Like still go to school. And he was like, yeah, I think so. Like just kind of telling me what I wanted to hear.
Right.
And not really realizing like how much, you know, effort it actually was going to take.
Okay.
And so, but I wrote a couple policies and then, you know, I still wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. You know, I'm an instant gratification kind of person.
Okay.
Like,
right.
You know, I want something to happen today.
Right.
You know, and so May, I was like, okay, I'm going to take a semester off and I'm just going to go all in. And so Dave gave me some leads and I think May I produced like $18,000 in production.
Gosh.
Right.
So you went from a couple thousand to 18,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I've, you know, started telling my agents there was like a 3-week period in between like April and May where like I didn't write a policy. I was going out with leads and I wasn't making sales, but I was still calling Dave. Like I was still, you know, trying to have him mentor me like, hey, you know, I'm getting told no, what should I do? Right. You know, and so stuff was happening. I just couldn't see it. And there were nights where, you know, I mean, my mom was taking care of my kids. I mean, I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. At that time, my son was like a baby. Right. You know, my mom's taking care of my kids and she's like, what's happening? Like, you're not making sales, you know? And I'm like, I'm just going to keep sticking with it. Like Dave was like, you're going to be able to do this. I'm telling you. And Jen was like encouraging me. And so, but I remember when I made my first sale. Right. And it was all downhill from there. And then June, I became #1 agent in the country. Oh gosh. So
that fast.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But, so you put school on hold, working on your master's.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids that are very, very young. One's brand new,
right?
Still has the tags on her. Your mom's taking care of your kids while you're out in the field.
Yeah.
And you go 3 weeks without a sale.
Yeah.
And then finally get one.
Yeah.
And then you were off to the races.
Right.
And you were never scared during this time? Or were you frightened? What's going on?
I was a little scared. You know, I was like, man, maybe like this isn't for me. You know, I started questioning myself.
Right.
But like David's super encouraging. You know, he's like, you got this. Like, I know you're going to be great at this. Like, just keep going. Just keep going, you know? And again, like, you know, seeing Jen, like, I'm like, I remember when I went train with Jen and she made it look super easy. I think we like sold 7 policies when I went train with her. And I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I went out the next day and I was like, wait, this is not as easy as I thought, you know, because that's agents see us and they're like, man, like y'all make it look so easy, but you haven't really put in that blood, sweat, and tears yet. You know, like you have to go through that in the beginning.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just have to.
For 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks.
And then be number one.
Yeah. I mean, 3 weeks, I guess, in the grand scheme of things isn't that long.
Well, when you're on day one, and you don't know it's only going to be 3 weeks.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
It's a lot different.
And I had no money coming in. Like I hadn't worked for 9 months.
Oh, wow.
You know, so I was like living on savings. I didn't have any money coming in. So I was scared. Yeah. You know, but then I made that first sale and like I said, it was just all downhill from there.
So then what happens next? So you become number one in the company. And then you're already setting your own personal goals and everything like that. So I guess you kind of hit a stride at that point.
I did.
And then I
found my groove.
Yeah, definitely. So then what's happening next? So after you do that, you become number one. And then is it just, you're just keeping up with that at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And what keeps you from getting complacent? I mean, I see you said you're an instant gratification kind of person, but a lot of people, when they hit home runs, they kind of back up a little bit.
Right.
But you didn't really do that.
Yeah.
So what was it? Was it just the thrill of it? What was it? What was going on? What are you thinking at that point? Like, kind of put me in your mindset whenever you're number one at 18,000 or however much it was, and then you continue to keep going. You continue to be number one or in the top 3 or top 5 or whatever. What is it? What's going on? What's going on in your mind?
So, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's just that I've always had like addictive personality.
Okay.
And, you know, finding something that you really love to do and, you know, like having the money and like having the success and like actually, you know, being somebody is, and then, you know, motivating people, you know, when you have people that are, you know, watching you and like motivated by what you're doing, that's what pushes me. Like, it's not really so much about myself.
Right.
But I know that I'm here for a reason to like help other people. Yeah. You know, and so that, you know, kept pushing me. Because I think like my 6th month with Senior Life, I started recruiting.
Oh, wow.
Right. So it was like, okay, I mastered how to write business. Right. Now it's like, I'm so blessed with this opportunity. Now I have to share this with other people, you know, and I feel like that definitely helps me from getting complacent. Yeah. You know, because it's not about just you anymore. Like you have other people that are counting on you and depending on you for their own, you know, livelihood. Yeah. Right. So that's definitely a huge push. Right. But, you know, after my first year in the field, you know, I did get kind of bored a little bit. Okay. You know, it's like you're writing business, you're driving all over the place. Like it gets tiring. Yeah. Right. So transitioning to telesales was like a whole new like challenge.
But telesales, but you didn't transition out of boredom though. It was out of necessity, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it was like, it happened at the right time.
I got you.
Really.
I got you.
You know, just something different, you know?
And then the personal production in a week record, you broke that last year, right? And it was held by Joey Faircloth, who's been with us 25 years, and he actually had that title for like 7 years or something like that. Was that what you were set to do? Was that your goal, was to beat that record? Was that what you were doing at that point? Like, because you get on telesales, you realize you could do it, and you're like, okay, now I'm just going to beat this record? Is it like, what happened? What was going on at that time?
So, I mean, I think, you know, realizing that, man, like I actually really am good at telesales as well. And actually was writing more business over the phone than I was.
So you're doing better
in the field. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it was just like looking for the new thrill, like something different, the new challenge, you know, what could I do next? And so, I just happened to see that YouTube video and I was like, Dave, I think I can, because, okay, I've already been
You just like randomly saw the video?
Yeah, just randomly saw the video.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it was just like one of those things, which is cool. And he, again, told exactly how he did it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can do that,
Oh,
wow. So I called David and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to beat this record.
Yeah.
He was like, okay, cool, great. So you're going to need to get this many leads and do it. And that's just how it happened.
So explain kind of in layman's terms for somebody who might be new or somebody thinking about like, I really want to do those kind of big numbers.
Yeah.
To break that record, what exactly did you do?
So, I think we have a great system, right? Where, leads equals production.
Yes.
Right. So if you want to write those big numbers, $30,000, $40,000 a month, like you cannot be afraid to spend money on leads. You cannot be afraid to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, there's a whole new standard at Senior Life. It used to be like minimum 20 leads a week.
Right.
Like that's like nothing now. Right. Like that's nothing, So, to do something like, 30,000 in a week, like, you need a lot of leads.
Yeah.
And to me, leads don't really cost, because again, like, you buy the leads, you write the business, all the money comes back to you anyway.
Yeah, you make money off it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I got the leads. I literally, blocked out all distractions for that week. Like everybody was like kind of my servant that week.
Right.
And like every day, 9 a.m., work until dark 30. I literally worked from Friday to Thursday, like no days off. Had a goal every single day and just didn't stop.
Just didn't stop.
A lot of prayer.
Yeah.
Like, God, if I don't do this, I'm going to feel like a loser. That's what I was thinking. Because everybody was texting me, like cheering me on, like, you got this. And I'm like, man, I cannot. Cannot fail.
I had even texted you during that time and I didn't have your number and I was sitting at home and I was like, well, I want to text her and just say you can do this.
Yeah.
And I text David. I'm like, hey, let me get Bianca's number, which kind of was a mistake because then he just kept texting me like, bro, she's going to do it. Like kept like saying those encouraging things, like telling me like, you don't understand. She's going to do it. And I was like, all right, that's like the 10th one. I get it.
Yeah. No, that helped. I mean, everybody was messaging me, emailing me. And I mean, that just kept motivating me and pushing me forward that like everybody, believed in me, and it helped me to really believe in myself. And I mean, this business is all about belief. Like if you don't have that belief in yourself, in the system, in the process, like you're going to have trouble.
How important is that? Like following the system. One thing about like David that I admire and respect, and it's something that Doug Blake also does, is follows the system. You know, when Ron, Robert, or somebody like that is like, here's how we need to do this, they do it automatically.
Yeah.
How important is that? Because so many people want to do it their own way, or I can do it like this, or there's this.
Yeah.
You're tuned into the system. 4 weeks in, you have a month of 18,000 from following the system. Yeah. How important is it to just stay on track and follow that system?
So, I mean, a huge part of like my recovery has been following a system.
Okay.
And so, I already had that down path because that's like, life or death. Right. So coming into this, I'm like, oh my God, they have a system. Like, that's amazing. Like I'm really good at like being told what to do and like following direction. Like I am the best at that.
I got you.
Because I know that it works. I don't have to use my own brain. I can use somebody else's.
Right.
So, following the system is super important. I mean, that's consistency is key to my success. I just keep doing the same thing. And then I don't have to, stop, lose momentum, start again. Like I would just rather keep going.
Just keep going.
And I think that's the key to win. Definitely.
So thinking about like the system and what, definitely what Ron has put into place recently, one thing that we announced at the top of the year is the 150% commissions and the ability to basically give yourself a promotion. For somebody like yourself, like what did that mean to see right there laid out exactly what you have to do to move up, to get a raise, to get a higher percentage for yourself? What did that mean to you whenever you saw that announcement?
Prayers answered.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, this is, I guess, the thing about, manifesting what you want.
Yeah.
just recently before, that announcement was made, I had been writing down like, I want a 100% contract.
Okay.
I want 100% contract. I want, 20% override off my agents. Like I want to do, so much. And so I was writing down my goals every single day,
right,
trying to manifest that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden standardized contracts and actually got more than what I was hoping for.
Beat your own goal again.
Yeah. Right. So I'm like, God gave me more than what I asked for. So, I mean, I think it's amazing to be able to get paid exactly what you're worth.
Definitely.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate exchanging time for money. I've always felt like I wasn't paid what I was worth, so being blessed with an opportunity like this is just amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of tell me about your other goals now. So you start the call center. How many people are in the call center now?
10. And
you have a goal now of 20 more. Is that what you
said?
So like for Bianca, what is some of your short-term goals right now?
So, I'm still trying to get to $100,000 a month, my agency. So that's my goal right now.
Right.
I want to hire at least 10 people a month, and I want to have at least, 5 managers underneath me.
Okay.
Doing the same thing.
Definitely.
So that's, duplicating myself, because I can't do it all by myself, hire, train, write production.
Right.
That gets super challenging.
Right.
So trying to duplicate myself.
Are you going to be able to do that? Duplicate yourself? Because I mean, speaking of standards and bars being high, I mean, that's a high, that's a high reach for some people.
Trying to find more Biancas is challenging, but I have some in the making.
I got you.
I have some in the making. So again, like with the call center, Doug asked me, he's like, well, how do you create more of you? Right. I'm like, well, I don't know. And he's like, well, you have people next to you every single day.
Okay.
Like there's no option. Like if you're on my team, like you're working in the call center, if you're within, a certain mile radius
right.
Of where we live, and so that's definitely been a lot easier than having people all spread over, in the field. So that's, created a new, I guess, bonus.
Definitely.
An advantage.
So what about long term? What are some things you want to accomplish in the next few years?
So, I mean, I want to be where David is at.
Yeah.
Was it like 350,000
right.
A month?
Right.
Like that's my long-term goal. That's on my vision board.
Definitely.
And just, again, creating more, people that are 6-figure earners, because that's when, like, okay, I've made 6 figures. Like, I've made it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're not making money in this business, it's going to be really hard to stay.
Yeah.
So, that's definitely my long-term goal. And then, expanding even more call centers, just keep growing.
Definitely.
Sky's the limit.
Definitely. So, anytime we do the podcast, I always want to give the guests an opportunity to say anything before we get out of here, before we wrap it up. Is there anything that you just want to mention before we finish today?
So, I think a lot of people are always questioning, how are you so successful? How do I get to where you're at? Right. And I think a big part of this business is all about modeling.
Right.
Taking suggestions, taking constructive criticism, and, just going all in, commit.
Yeah.
Right. So going all in. And once you commit and once you have, that belief and, you have that vision,
right.
like that's going to pull you, right? Because this business is not physically challenging, but it is mentally challenging.
Okay.
So, you need that vision to pull you.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about David. He's definitely given me a vision, because I probably would have been happy with making $500 a week when I first started.
Yeah.
Like that was all I knew.
Yeah.
So really creating that vision that there's something else that's possible. Like I can make 6 figures. I can have anything that I want. I can have, the life beyond my wildest dreams, to have that vision. Like that's what pushes me every single day. Like definitely. When I want to give up or things get challenging, I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. Like that's what pushes me forward.
There you go.
And the fact that, I'm doing this to help people. Like that's what it's all about, is just helping people. And not just with like life insurance, like I want to help people on a larger scale,
right.
Like maybe have my own treatment center, one day, because I am still really passionate about that. So like senior life is a wonderful vehicle, to be able to do anything that you want to do.
Absolutely.
So if you don't take hold of this opportunity, like, I feel sorry for people that don't, or that give up before the miracle happens.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Like right there, like they're almost there and they give up.
And they just quit.
So
that's an amazing way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
Especially fresh off of traveling and everything.
Okay.
You've shared part of your story with me before. I've seen you speak at our events and everything. So, I knew that you've had hurdles in life.
Right.
I think that's something that's awesome in the sense that I think that's something that'll definitely help you in the future.
Right.
Because I think more people will have hardships than just everything being easy for them.
Right.
And so to know that you were able to pull yourself out so many times, I think is going to help inspire people.
Yeah.
But just on a personal level, it inspires me a lot. Just everything that you do, I think you're an incredible person. I think you have a lot of just will and tenacity. And like I said, you're just an inspiration for me personally. So I just appreciate you being transparent and sharing that with us.
Well, and, just the last thing I'll say is a lot of people, we say this is you see the glory, but you don't see the story.
Right.
And I think that story is super important to share because that's me.
Yeah.
And if people want to know like who I am and how I've gotten to where I am today, like they have to know what I had to go through to get to this point.
Definitely.
It makes sense.
Definitely.
So.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All these words of wisdom, all these gems. We really appreciate you. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Bianca. And like we say every single podcast, it's senior life, all your life.